Hello, students. For this lecture, it's titled The Executive Branch, but honestly, the way I break down my course and my teaching, the executive branch consists of a number of people, a number of positions in Texas government. Most of these positions I talk about, we discuss in a different lecture that we'll have in a few weeks. So I really want to focus on the governor in this position, or excuse me, not this position, in this section, in this lecture. To become governor, we have formal qualifications. Were the formal qualifications to be elected to the state legislature difficult to meet? No. Texas, we want to make it easy to run for office, and we see the same thing with the formal qualifications for governor. 30 years old, an American citizen, and a citizen of Texas for 5 years. Guys, that's it. Once again, is this hard? No, it's not. But if we have formal qualifications, that means that we are going to have informal qualifications. What are some of the informal qualifications? Well, once again, remember these are qualifications that are going to help you get elected. They're not required, but they help immensely. Start off, WASP. Remember, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Gender is male. How do we know this? As we've already discussed this semester, we've only had 2 female governors. Who were they? Ma Ferguson, Ann Richards. Middle-aged. We're talking 40 to 60. Usually they're a business person, a doctor, an attorney. This provides the money that they need to run for office. Historically, party affiliation played a large role in Texas elections, and we see this because, for the most part, during Texas history, the Democrats were in charge, and mostly it was Democrats that held the position of governor for most of the existence in Texas. Remember, we had a Republican governor up till 1873 with E.J. Davis. We did not elect another Republican governor until 1979, until we elected William P. Clemens governor. So we went for over 100 years with Democratic governors. Overall, if you look at the list of Texas governors, 39 of the almost 50 governors that we've had for the state of Texas, 39 of them have been Democrat. So, yes, party has played an informal role in winning the governor's mansion. Tenure, removal, succession. The governor serves a 4-year term with no term limits. Remember, I told you, Texas government, we do not have real term limits, being told you can only serve X number of terms. Now, in the past, if we look at the first state constitution in 1845, we did have these these fake term limits. The state constitution of 1845, the governor's term was 2 years, and they could only serve 4 out of every 6 years. So, why do I say these were fake term limits, 4 out of every 6 years? If you served 2 terms, you could take a term off. Well, you had to take a term off, but then you were eligible to run and be reelected and serve another 2 terms. In 1866, the Constitution of 1866, we increased the governor's term to 4 years, but we still had those fake term limits. You could only serve 2 terms. You could only serve 8 out of 12 years, 2 out of 3. Then you had to take a term off. The Constitution of 1869 removed these fake term limits. We said we're not doing this. The Constitution of 1876, we shortened the term back to 2 years, but in 1972 we passed a constitutional amendment that increased it once again to 4 years. So tenure, 4 years. We do not have term limits. We have never had real term limits in Texas government. Removal. Once you are elected governor, I am not talking about that you decide not to run for re-election. I am not talking about that you lose re-election. I am talking about while you are in actual office. While you are in office, there's only 3 ways for the governor to leave the governor's office, the governor's position. This is death, resignation, or impeachment. Those are the only 3 ways that the governor can leave office: death, resignation, or impeachment. So now, secession, if something were to happen to the governor, who takes over? Yeah, the lieutenant governor. The lieutenant governor becomes the governor. They will serve for the remainder of the term. Then they're eligible to run for re-election. Has this ever happened? Yeah, it happens occasionally. The last time it happened was in 2000. The governor of Texas left for a different job. He resigned his position. He left for a different job. Do you know who I'm talking about? It was George Bush. He won the presidency. He won the White House. He went off to become president. Who was the lieutenant governor? Who became the new governor? It was Rick Perry. Now, in an odd twist, the longest-serving governor of Texas is who? It's Rick Perry. So here's the odd thing. Perry came to the governor's office not because he won the initial election. It was because Governor Bush resigned. So just by happenstance, Lieutenant Governor Perry becomes Governor Perry, but he parlays this, he uses this to become the longest serving governor in Texas history. Compensation. Being governor of Texas is a full-time job, so you get paid for it. Now, let me ask you a question. You are governor of Texas. What are your hours? You're on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Well, what if I go on vacation? Well, you leave the lieutenant governor in charge, but you're still governor. What if I'm overseas on business, on state business? You're still governor. If things are going well in the state, do you get credit? Yes. Do you deserve credit? Maybe. If things are going poorly in the state, who gets blamed? The governor. Is it your fault? I don't know. Maybe. But now keep this in mind. Once again, you're on the clock 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You get credit, you might not deserve it. You get blame when you might not deserve it. Knowing this, how much would you personally want to be paid to be the governor of Texas, knowing these work requirements? Well, our governor gets paid $153,750 a year. Is that very much? Probably not in the grand scheme of things. If you were a business owner, doctor, attorney, could you make more than $157,000 a year? Probably. So we do pay him $153,750. But it does come with other perks. One perk is the governor gets to live in the governor's mansion. He has an expense account. I say he because it's a he right now. There is an expense account to keep it maintained and staffed. The governor receives a personal staff for the governor's mansion. We also pay for him to maintain a professional staff. These professional staff members have offices in the state capitol. So I'm bringing up staff, especially professional staff. Why is staff so important? We see that the governor has limited time and many duties. The governor is involved in legislative affairs. He's involved in appointments. The governor, much like Congress, they're going to rely on their staff for advice, for information, for assistance, before making any important decisions. They're going to use their staff to get feedback, more information. Okay, I just mentioned appointments. Who would the governor appoint? I mean, almost all offices in Texas are elected, but the governor does have some appointment power. The governor gets to appoint people to various boards, commissions, judicial benches, if one comes empty. Let me repeat. The governor has the authority to appoint people to various boards, commissions, and empty judicial benches. So if a judicial office becomes vacant due to death, due to resignation, the governor appoints a successor until the successor can run for election in the next election. So, does he know everybody he appoints? No. Then why does the governor appoint this person? They rely on the staff to give the governor the best information. Yes, this person has the proper background. This person has the proper education, whatever it is. They would be good at this job. So staff is very important. Tools of persuasion. I want to talk about some of the formal powers, the legal powers that the governor has to do their job. Where are we going to find these formal powers, or what are they? These are simply powers that are granted to the governor by law. So we're going to find them in the Constitution. The first formal power is the power of the veto. Please remember the president has 10 days, and this doesn't include Sunday, but to sign a bill into law. If the bill is not signed, the bill becomes a law. However, if the governor vetoes the bill, he then returns the bill to the state legislature with his objections. Do remember, if the governor vetoes the bill, the legislature may override the veto with a 2/3 vote from both chambers, as long as the Texas legislature is in session. There's another type of veto called the line item veto. The line item veto, another formal power, but the line item veto allows the governor to veto funds for specific items or projects without killing the entire bill. So what this means is that the governor gets to look through a bill line by line. Anything that has to do with money, that has to do with appropriations, the governor can veto that particular portion out, that particular portion of the bill out, and he or she can sign the rest of the bill into law. Now, this is a big deal. State governors have this. The president does not have this power. Why would this be a big deal? Think about it at the federal level, the president. When a bill comes to the president's desk and they're considering sign it or veto it, it is an all or nothing proposition. Well, what if they like 75% of it? They don't like 25%. Well, does the president sign the bill even though he doesn't like the 25%? Does he veto the bill because he doesn't like the 25%, even though he likes the 75%? At the state level, for the Texas governor, this actually allows government to be more efficient. The governor being able to veto the appropriations, the money portions that he doesn't like, but still signing the bill into law, actually means that laws or bills are still getting signed, laws are still getting passed. So this actually makes the Texas government function more efficiently. Can the legislature override a line item veto? Yes, same thing as the regular veto, 2/3 vote from each chamber. They override the line item veto. Message power. The Constitution requires the governor to deliver a State of the State address. Once again, compare this to federal government. The president has to go deliver a State of the Union address. The governor has to get in front of the public and state what he or she believes to be important. What issues do we want to address in that legislative session? So the governor is required to issue a State of the State address. They will tell us, if the governor is good, they will tell us what they would like to get accomplished that legislative session. They're going to try to get us on the same page, get us excited, hoping that we will place pressure on the Texas legislature to back what the governor wants. Last one, fact-finding commissions. The governor, along with the legislature, can appoint a blue ribbon commission or a fact-finding commission. This group will consist of influential citizens, politicians, members of concerned special interest groups. These groups can look at political ideas that are already under consideration. They will do research to see if these ideas have strong public acceptance. These groups can also be used in an attempt to increase political acceptance of an idea. So they can be used as research, tell us if the public wants it, wants our idea, whatever it may be, or they can be used to try to lead the public to where we want the public's opinion to be. So these are all the formal powers. The legal powers, I'm going to find these in the Constitution. Now, I want to talk about informal powers. They're not enumerated. They're not written down anywhere, but they still exist. Some of these are going to sound familiar, and it's going to make sense when you hear the explanation. The first informal power I want to discuss is just to threaten a veto. Why would threatening a veto have the legislature change their attitude? How would threatening a vehicle get the legislature to change a bill that the governor doesn't like? Remember what we talked about at the end of the legislature section. Does the legislator want to be there for a special session? No, they don't want to be there. So if the governor says, if you don't pass this bill in a form that I like, I'm going to veto it, then call you back, make you come back to Austin in a special session, make you work on it anyway. So usually, if this is a threat of a veto, the legislature is going to change their attitude and put it in a form that the governor likes, that the governor will sign off on. Bargaining. Bargaining can be used during the legislative session, but I want to focus on something called a pre-session bargaining agreement, or pre-session bargaining. In pre-session bargaining, the governor, the presiding officers, so the governor, the lieutenant governor, the Speaker of the House, they're going to meet and they're going to decide what their legislative agenda is. What is their legislative goal for that legislative session? Why are they going to do this? Well, this way, everybody starts off on the same page. We've already decided, yes, this is what we want to work at, and we're starting off ahead of the game. Last one, special sessions, and I explained this a second ago. It really isn't, a special session is a formal power. They have the ability, they have the authority to call a special session. But for the informal powers, once again, it's going to be the threat to call a special session. They don't want to be there, so they're going to try to do what the governor wants before they leave Austin, before the regular legislative session ends. Executive tools of persuasion. Okay, guys, the governor's position is very weak. Please remember that the Texas Constitution makes the office of governor a plural executive. This means that there are numerous other people in the executive branch with their own responsibilities. So the power is broken up between the governor, the lieutenant governor, the attorney general, the comptroller, the general land commissioner, the secretary of agriculture, the secretary of state. How would having this power, how would having this plural executive weaken the governor? All those other positions, with the exception of Secretary of State, are elected. Why does that make the governor weak? Well, can the governor go to the lieutenant governor and say, if you don't do this, I'm going to fire you? can the governor force the lieutenant governor to do something the lieutenant governor does not want to do? No, they can't. These other positions are elected. They answer to us. This means that the governor's position is very weak. Now, does that mean that they don't have any power? That they can't do anything to get their agenda met? No, it doesn't. And I want to look at these executive tools, these powers that the governor has that can help the governor meet their agenda. The first, the appointive powers, or the appointment powers. Remember, I told you that the governor can appoint people to boards, commissions, judicial benches. These appointments allow the governor to place allies in strategic locations in state government. This is a critical asset in their effort to establish and carry out their policies. Governors can use the appointment power to reward political supporters. This is a practice known as patronage. Supporters can be awarded government jobs, which can also be used to curry favor, to gain favor with rival political leaders or office holders. These uses of political appointments are mutually reinforcing. These are rewards for past support, are likely to increase future support from appointed office holders. Sometimes we see appointments that are made in an attempt to establish a political tone. These appointments are done to signal a governor's intention to pursue a particular policy, to pursue a particular strategy. Governor Ann Richards, she appointed unprecedented numbers of minorities and women to these positions, boards, commissions, empty judicial benches. This solidified her liberal Democrat base, and it signaled her intention to follow through on her campaign theme of building a new Texas. She said she was going to get more minorities, more women involved in politics, and she did, using her appointment power. In 2001, Governor Rick Perry, attempted to follow through on his campaign promise to encourage bipartisanship, to encourage the parties working together by appointing Democrat Henry Cuellar. This Mr. Cuellar was a Mexican-American legislator from Laredo. So we had Rick Perry, Republican, appoint Democrat Henry Cuellar to the office of Secretary of State, to a position in the executive branch. Governors find out early, though, that the interpretations of these messages can be difficult to control. What's the problem today when you're talking to somebody? Can you be 100% sure they are interpreting the message the way you intend them to? The answer is no. Well, it's the same thing with these appointments. It's trying to set this signal or establish this political tone. If we go back to Governor Richards, skeptics and political opponents saw Governor Richards' appointment as patronage. It was too race or gender conscious. If we're talking about Governor Perry, there is widespread suspicion that Representative Cuellar's appointment was meant to foster division among Democrats. The governor gets to appoint. This appointment power is somewhat limited by the requirement that 2/3 of the Senate must confirm this appointment. So, like the president appoints, the government or the U.S. Senate confirms, Texas state politics, the governor appoints, the Texas legislature must confirm. What we see at both levels, but in Texas, since this is a Texas class, is this unwritten tradition called senatorial courtesy. Senatorial courtesy. This custom allows a senator of the district in which a nominee lives to effectively veto the appointment. If a senator objects to a nomination, usually their colleagues in the Senate will respect the objection and they will not vote to confirm. Now, how long is the Texas legislature in session? 140 days every 2 years. How many days are in 2 years? 365 times 2, 730 minus 140, so 590. Unless, of course, there's a leap year, then it's 591. Does this mean in these 590 days that the Texas legislature, that the Senate is not in session, that the governor cannot appoint anybody? No, that's not what it means. What we see is there's a couple of reasons that the governor may wait till the Senate's out of session. The first reason, if the session ends at the end of May, June 1st, the governor may appoint somebody to a position and they are just way out there in their beliefs, way out in how they're going to establish and monitor policy. Now, the governor knows that they are too far right wing or too far left wing for the senator to approve when they come back in 590 days. So why would the governor appoint this person? Because for 590 days, this person gets to do whatever they want, whatever they can do to help the governor reach his agenda. Once the Senate comes back into session, they vote to not confirm this person. Well, now the governor has to appoint somebody who is more moderate, somebody who will be more middle of the road. On the other hand, they may wait till the end of the session, or right after it ends, and appoint somebody, and this is a probationary period, if you will. They spend the next 590 days, they spend the next year and a half or so doing the job, proving that they can do it, proving that they are good at it. Then when the state Senate comes back into session, the governor says, I'm going to appoint them. I want them to have the job full time. They've done it for the last year and a half, and they've done well. They have built their resume. So, they may do that. Removal powers. Once you are appointed by the governor, are you beholden to the governor? Do you owe them for your job? Honestly, it depends. Once appointed, it is very hard for a governor to remove someone. While they can remove members of the executive office for a few minor a few minor administrators for no reason, the governor can't remove their own appointments to boards or commissions without showing cause and getting approval from 2/3 of the legislature. This means that they just can't go up and say, oh, they're not doing the job the way I expected them to. They're not doing the job. They're not voting the way I expected them to. They need to be removed. That is not cause. You have to show, you, the governor, have to show you have a legitimate reason for removing them from that position you put them in. 2/3 of the state legislature must agree. So actually, once you get appointed, your job is pretty safe. Chief of State powers. Much like the president serves as a symbol for the United States, the governor serves as a symbol for the state of Texas. This means that there are a number of things that the governor does which are just what we call pomp and circumstance. They're not formal requirements per his office. He doesn't have to do them, but it might be things like participating in a ribbon-cutting ceremony, throwing out the first pitch at a baseball game. I know Governor Perry at one point, he gave the commencement speech at a graduation ceremony at Stephen F. Austin High School. If the governor's so busy and the governor doesn't have to participate in these ceremonies, if they're pomp and circumstance, why does the governor do it? Easy. The governor does it just to increase visibility, just to increase his popularity. Makes him seem like an everyday type of person. So those are symbols. He's coming out and he's doing it. Pomp and circumstance, non-required. Now, as Chief of State, even though the symbol of Texas, as Chief of State, there are 3 required duties. The first, the governor is a member of or appoints representatives to multi-state organizations and conferences. Why would this be a big deal? Well, the governor's actions, or the representatives that the governor picks, they help build relations between Texas and other states. If we don't have a good working relationship with other states, how is this going to affect us for future business deals or for any other type of agreement we may need in the future? They're not going to want to work with us. They're just going to ignore us, leave us alone. So that's number 1. As a member of or appoint representatives to multi-state organizations, conferences. Number 2, for Texas to help gain national grant and aid programs, for Texas to help get national money for programs, we have an office in Washington, D.C. This is called the Office of State-Federal Relations. The governor appoints and may remove the director of this office. His third chief of state power, and this is the one that all of us are going to be more familiar with, we're going to see the governor exercise this power more, is that the governor may request federal aid in the event of an emergency. By requesting federal aid, he is allowing the citizens of Texas to qualify for, to participate in federal programs. So those 3, but the last one's probably the most important to us, or at least the most obvious to us. Budget powers. Now, does the governor have any budget powers? Kind of. We say that the governor is the chief budget officer of the state. The governor receives information from state agencies requesting their appropriations amount, requesting the amount of money that they say we need, minimal amount. This is the minimal amount we need to do our jobs properly. The governor puts a budget together, taking into account the state's estimated income, the estimated cost of the programs. The governor gives this budget to the state legislature. Well, the state legislature is also putting together their own budget, their own wish list, and then there's a third one that comes into play. It's important to realize that the Legislative Budget Board does the same thing. They create this budget. Now, the Legislative Budget Board, these are the bean counters. These are the ones that know what they're doing. They can do math. It is up to the state legislature to create our state budget. So they have their wish list, their wants. They have the governor's wish list, the governor's wants. And then they have the budget from the professionals, from the Legislative Budgeting Board. Which one do you think the state legislature is going to look at first? Their budget. They're going to do what they want first. So now we're down to the budget board and the governor. Who do you think they're going to look at second? Second, they're going to look at the professionals. Let's see what they say we have money for. Let's put this in there. Finally, last, probably least, if there's any room left over, we'll look at the governor's budget, see what the governor wants. So, does the governor have any budget power? Kind of, in a roundabout way. Law enforcement power. Does the governor have any law enforcement power? Kind of, in a roundabout way. At the state level, we have the main state police agency is the Department of Public Safety, Highway Patrol. The Texas Rangers fall under them. At the local level, we have sheriffs, constables, the local police chief. What kind of law enforcement power does the governor have? Well, at the local level, sheriffs, constables, they're elected. The police chief is hired by the city. So no, the governor has no power over local law enforcement. Now, at the state level, with Department of Public Safety, the Rangers and the Highway Patrol are both under the director of the Department of Public Safety. The director is appointed by the Public Safety Commission. There are 3 members on the Public Safety Commission. How do you think they get their term, or their job, Remember, if you hear the term boards, commissions, empty judicial benches, chances are really good what? They were appointed by the governor. So, yes, the governor gets to appoint these 3 members to the Public Safety Commission. They serve 6-year staggered terms. But the governor appoints the members of the Public Safety Commission who hire the director of the Department of Public Safety who oversees the Department of Public Safety. So, does the governor have any law enforcement power? Kind of, in a roundabout way. Military powers. The governor is the commander-in-chief of the state military. This would be the Texas National Guard, the Texas State Guard. The governor can declare an area to be under martial law and send units of the militia to keep the peace and to protect public property. So if we look at Article 4, Section 7 of the Texas Constitution, this allows the governor to employ the state militia to execute the laws of the state, to suppress insurrection, and to repel invasions. So the governor can activate, he can call the Texas National Guard to duty. Now we do have the second level, the Texas State Guard. I would say these are a backup to the Texas National Guard. And understand why I say this. Let me explain this. Yes, the governor can activate the Texas National Guard. However, the president can also activate the Texas National Guard. He can take control of it. He can take that away from the governor. If and only if the president activates the Texas National Guard, then the governor can activate the Texas State Guard. So that's the only time. The governor and the president can activate the Texas National. Governor can activate Texas State if the president took the national. Clemency powers. The Constitution of 1876 gave the governor very broad clemency powers. Anybody know what clemency is? Clemency, this is the power to grant relief from criminal punishment. So this is forgiveness. We see that the governor could do this by granting pardons, paroles. The governor had the ability to grant reprieves, temporary halts, if you will. Could this power be misused? Well, if somebody comes up to the governor and says, "My son's in prison, we would really like for you to pardon him. Thank you for your time. Oh, and I am accidentally leaving this briefcase in here with $250,000 in small unmarked bills." What's going to happen? Is this an attempt at a bribe of the governor? But that's illegal. Yeah, but that's not the point. Could the governor accept the bribe and use his clemency powers to forgive the prisoner? Yes, they could. Texans, kind of slow, not exactly dumb. It takes us a while to pick up things. Remember, I said the Constitution of 1876 gave the governor vast clemency powers. Well, finally, in 1936, it only took us 60 years, we figured out that perhaps these powers were being abused. So the state of Texas, we passed a constitutional amendment. We created a board of pardons and paroles. Now, most of the clemency powers were transferred from the governor to the board. Today, the board grants, revokes. They'll determine conditions for parole. They then make clemency recommendations to the governor. Now, here's where it gets a little odd. Does the governor have to follow the recommendations by the board? Some options here. The first, no. Governor does not have to follow any of the recommendations, does not have to offer any type of clemency. It's totally up to the governor. Second option, let's say the governor listens. If the governor listens to the recommendations, if the governor says, okay, you're right, clemency is deserved, the governor is limited in the clemency. And what I mean by this, the governor can grant the amount of clemency that the board recommends. Let's say that the board says this person was sentenced to 40 years in prison. There was circumstantial evidence that should have been considered. We think it's proper that his sentence be reduced to 20 years. The governor can come say, you're right, I agree, I'm going to reduce the sentence to 20 years. So he can match the board's clemency. He or she can grant less clemency. Once again, the board recommends a 20-year reduction. The governor says, you're right, circumstantial evidence should have been considered. However, I think a 20-year reduction is too much. I will reduce it by 10 years. The governor can do this because he is granting less clemency than what the board recommends. What the governor cannot do is grant more clemency. If the board recommends a 20-year reduction, the governor says, no, I want to reduce it to 30 years. He or she cannot do this because they are exceeding the amount of clemency that the board offered. So they can match it, they can go less, but the governor cannot go more.